When the Federal Reserve announces a rate cut, it's like a global clearance sale, an economic shake-up that demands strategy and adaptability. How can investors capitalize on these opportunities while safeguarding against risks? Inspired by the wisdom of the Yi-Jing and Sun Tzu's art of war, we explore timeless strategies to navigate this financial storm. Join us as we unveil how to turn rate cuts into a roadmap for success. Ready to turn challenges into opportunities? Dive deeper into the strategic insights from the Yi-Jing and Sun Tzu's art of war to master financial markets. Subscribe to our channel and discover timeless principles that can transform your investment strategy. Don't miss the chance to navigate rate cuts with clarity and confidence. Your roadmap to success starts here. The policy rate is much like a parent's decision on the monthly pocket money allowance. Whether it's a generous handout or a frugal approach depends entirely on it. Meanwhile, the ONRRP, Overnight Reverse Repurchase Agreement, functions as the detailed terms of the allowance, specifying whether the money can be saved to earn interest or must be spent within a few days. Together they work to ensure that the pocket money system of the economy remains both fair and stable. For investors, we fully appreciate how crucial it is to understand this particular knife work. After all, with one sweeping slash of the Fed's big knife or a delicate carve with its smaller blade, your investments could either end up as a sizzling steak or a cold, unappetizing dish. The Federal Reserve is about to cut interest rates, but what does this mean for gold, stocks, and commodities? In this video, we'll break down market fluctuations in an easy-to-understand way and share a few concrete investment strategies to make your portfolio more robust and help you achieve your goals more effectively. Whether you're a seasoned investor or just starting out, you're sure to find some valuable insights here. Don't forget to subscribe and give us a thumbs up. What impact will the Federal Reserve's policy changes at the December meeting have on the markets? The Fed is much like the head chef of a restaurant, responsible for controlling the heat in the kitchen and the flavors of the dishes. On one hand, it must ensure price stability, akin to making sure the dish isn't overly salty, high inflation, or too bland, low inflation. On the other hand, it has to guarantee full employment, ensuring that every staff member in the kitchen has something to do, so no one is left idly standing around. It may seem simple, but in reality, it's more like playing a wok-based seesaw. If the heat is too high, prices spiraling out of control, the dish could burn, and the kitchen might descend into chaos. However, if the heat is too low, customers will be kept waiting, and someone in the kitchen might get the chop, meaning the chances of you or me losing our jobs could increase. The Fed, as the head chef, must constantly keep an eye on the heat, making adjustments as needed. Let me give you an example. When inflation is soaring, it's like the oil in the pan starting to smoke. The head chef needs to quickly turn down the heat, raise interest rates to bring the temperature back under control. On the other hand, when the economy is undercooked, the dish isn't quite ready, and the chef must turn up the heat, lower interest rates to get the flavor just right. So, the Federal Reserve's job is to balance both ends and keep the whole show steady. It needs to ensure that the customers are satisfied, a healthy economy, while preventing the kitchen from catching fire, runaway inflation. It's a role that's not only mentally taxing, but also rather hot to handle. The Federal Reserve's policy rate and the Overnight Reverse Repurchase Agreement (ONRRP) are like a dynamic duo, working together to fine-tune the heat and seasoning of the grand dish that is the economy. The policy rate is the master chef overseeing the entire kitchen. It determines whether the economic stew is simmered into a rich, hearty broth, low interest rates, spurring economic activity, or boiled down to a light, clear soup, high interest rates, keeping inflation in check. If the chef turns down the heat, lowers rates, borrowing becomes cheaper for banks, encouraging spending and investment, just like a rush to the supermarket during a sale. Conversely, if the chef cranks up the heat, raises rates, the economy cools and everyone tightens their belts. The ONRRP, on the other hand, acts as the attentive sous chef, ensuring the soup doesn't spill over, in other words, mopping up excess liquidity in the market. Its operation is akin to a supermarket's same-day special storage plan, where financial institutions can park their surplus cash with the Fed overnight, earning a little interest in the process. These two tools complement each other beautifully. One controls the heat of the economic stew, short-term interest rates, while the other ensures it doesn't boil over, liquidity management. Together, they keep the Fed's kitchen running smoothly, maintaining order without letting anything get out of hand. The policy rate is like the central bank's air conditioning thermostat for banks. When the Federal Reserve turns down the temperature, lowers interest rates, banks cool down, and the cost of borrowing drops. It's as if the AC is on full blast. People feel refreshed and start spending and investing with enthusiasm, buying houses, starting businesses, or even treating themselves to an extra cup of Starbucks. On the other hand, when the Fed raises the temperature, hikes interest rates, borrowing costs rise. It's like the room getting warmer. Everyone tightens their belts and spends less, while businesses think twice before taking on loans to expand. Naturally, inflation begins to cool down as a result. Let's look at a real-life example. When the Federal Reserve cuts interest rates, it's like your credit card suddenly offering a discounted interest rate. You might think, spending feels so much more affordable now. And before you know it, you're swiping your card with extra enthusiasm. But when interest rates go up, it's as if your credit card interest has increased with additional fees on top. Naturally, you start to think twice. Perhaps I'll hold off on those installment payments for now and wait for things to get cheaper. Simply put, the Federal Reserve's policy rate is like a remote control for managing how much people spend. Turn the temperature down, and everyone feels more confident to spend. Turn it up, and people become more cautious, ensuring inflation doesn't overheat. The impact of the policy rate is much like a wave of economic domino effects, where an economic event in one region or sector triggers a chain reaction of similar events in others. It's a concept akin to tipping over a single domino, causing an entire row to fall. For example, if a large company goes bankrupt, it could lead to job losses, reduced consumer spending, and financial difficulties for suppliers and other businesses. These effects might ripple through the entire economy, triggering further bankruptcies, unemployment, and even a recession, ultimately affecting our ability to enjoy life's little pleasures or make big purchases like houses and cars. How does one put it? Well, it's all connected, isn't it? Let's suppose the policy rate is lowered. It's like a restaurant offering a super value discount menu. Suddenly, hosting a dinner party for your friends doesn't feel like such a luxury anymore, and you're much more generous when picking up the tab. Similarly, when borrowing becomes cheaper for banks, mortgage rates drop, and the threshold for buying a house gets lower. As a result, more people join the house hunting club, and the real estate market starts buzzing with activity. But this change isn't like fast food. It's more like a slow-cooked stew. Adjustments to the policy rate take time, much like waiting for a pot of stew to simmer and develop its flavor before you can truly notice the effect. After an interest rate cut, house prices don't plummet overnight. Instead, gradually, more people begin buying homes, more businesses start investing, and the economy slowly warms up. Conversely, when the policy rate is raised, it's a bit like your gym hiking up its monthly fees. You might think, I'll just stick to jogging on my own for now, and as a result, people start spending less. Both expenditure and investment naturally cool down. In short, the policy rate acts like an invisible economic thermostat, quietly influencing whether you decide to splurge on a lavish meal or stick to a frugal budget, whether you rent or buy a home, and even whether your next trip will be on the high-speed train or a budget, long-distance coach. So, the Overnight Reverse Repurchase Agreement, RRP, is a bit like the Federal Reserve's mini piggy bank for the banking world. When there's too much money sloshing around in the market, the Fed opens up this piggy bank and invites banks and other financial institutions to lend it their excess cash overnight, even offering a bit of interest as a storage fee. It's a bit like having a super disciplined mum at home. She notices you're not spending all your pocket money and, worried you'll blow it all on junk food and put on weight, says, "Here's an idea, leave the money with me and I'll pay you a little interest each day." That way, you'll snack less on unhealthy treats. The financial institutions, seeing the Fed's offer of interest isn't too shabby, obediently deposit their excess cash into the piggy bank. As a result, there's less loose change floating around in the market, preventing the economy from overheating due to an oversupply of funds. Adjustments to the ONRRP rate are a bit like your mum saying, "Today's interest rate is up, so it's smarter to save more." Or, "The interest rate's down, why not take out a bit and treat yourself?" In this way, the Federal Reserve acts like a spending supervisor, managing short-term market interest rates and ensuring the economy runs smoothly and steadily. In summary, the ONRRP is like a slightly stingy but very savvy piggy bank. It helps the market avoid reckless spending when there's too much cash on hand, maintaining the overall health and stability of the financial system. It ensures you neither save too much nor splurge too wildly. The ONRRP is like a safe deposit box for the financial world, perfect for institutions that prefer to play it safe. For banks, it's a risk-free spot to park their excess cash overnight while earning a bit of interest on the side. It's akin to putting your pocket money into a secure locker and opening it the next day to find a little extra change. Safe, straightforward, and utterly stress-free. What's even more fascinating is that the ONRRP also influences the mood of other market participants. For instance, if the ONRRP offers higher interest, other financial institutions might think, well, if they're paying more, we'd better up our rates to attract funds too. This sets off a chain reaction, with the flow of money in the market behaving like a line of dominoes. One move triggers a ripple effect across the board. What's even more intriguing is that the ONRRP can influence the sentiment of other market participants. For example, if the ONRRP offers higher interest rates, other financial institutions might say, well, if they're paying more, we'd better raise our rates to attract funds too. As a result, the flow of money in the market begins to resemble a domino effect. One action triggers a chain reaction throughout the system. In summary, the ONRRP functions as a low-risk, highly convenient parking spot for funds, giving banks, funds, and other market players a safe place to rest their money overnight. Not only does it offer peace of mind, but it also enhances stability across the entire financial market. Truly the gold standard service station of the monetary world. The policy rate and the ONRRP are like the Federal Reserve's dual chef's knife set. One is the master chef's knife, used to shape the overall direction of the dish, while the other is a delicate carving knife, responsible for fine-tuning the details to achieve perfection. Together, they work in harmony to create a gourmet masterpiece of economic management. The policy rate is the chef's knife, setting the tone for the economy, much like deciding whether today's menu will be mild or bold. A rate cut is like serving a light broth with less salt, making spending easier for everyone. A rate hike, on the other hand, is the equivalent of doubling the chili, prompting people to think twice before opening their wallets. Meanwhile, the ONRRP is the carving knife, delicately managing the flow of funds to ensure no part of the economy becomes imbalanced in flavor. It ensures interest rates remain within an ideal range, keeping the entire dish of economic activity perfectly seasoned. The policy rate is akin to a parent setting the monthly pocket money allowance. Whether it's generous or frugal depends entirely on it. Meanwhile, the ONRRP serves as the fine print, detailing whether you can save that money to earn interest or if it needs to be spent within a few days. Together, these two work hand in hand to keep the economy's pocket money system both balanced and stable. For investors, understanding this knife work is absolutely critical. With one sweeping slash of the Fed's big knife and a delicate carve of its smaller blade, your investments could either turn out to be a sizzling steak or a plate of cold leftovers. Speculating on a Federal Reserve rate cut is like a crowd gathered around a sushi bar, eagerly waiting for the chef to present the daily special. Everyone watches the chef's every move, chopsticks poised mid-air. Is this going to be premium otoro or just regular tuna? Every detail is scrutinized to excess. Even the slightest furrow of the chef's brow can spark wild guesses. Is he running out of ingredients, or is he about to unveil a secret menu? In the months leading up to a potential Federal Reserve rate cut, traders and investors are like ravenous diners poring over the menu, in this case, economic data, in search of any special deal signals. A slowdown in GDP, weak employment figures, or declining inflation. They're anxious not to miss any hint from the chef. Rumors abound. Some are convinced there's a luxurious tasting menu on the way, while others suspect it might just be a few extra slices of seaweed. What's fascinating is the market's appetite tends to react preemptively. Even before the chef brings out the dish, everyone starts speculating and placing their orders based on their own guesses. It's like the sushi hasn't even reached the table, and one group is already exclaiming, "This fish must be incredibly fresh," while another table argues, "I bet it's frozen." What's fascinating is the market's appetite tends to react preemptively. Even before the chef brings out the dish, everyone starts speculating and placing their orders based on their own guesses. It's like the sushi hasn't even reached the table, and one group is already exclaiming, "This fish must be incredibly fresh," while another table argues, "I bet it's frozen." The market's anticipation of a rate cut is much like a friend announcing in the group chat, "Tonight I'm treating everyone to barbecue." Instantly, everyone starts salivating, imagining sizzling marbled Wagyu beef, juicy pork belly, and even planning to order extra ice cream for dessert. If your friend does end up taking everyone to a barbecue restaurant, it simply meets expectations. People are happy, but not exactly surprised. However, if they suddenly change their mind and say, "Actually, let's just grab convenience store bento boxes, cheap and quick," the result would be devastating, leaving everyone heartbroken in an instant. This is exactly the challenge the Federal Reserve faces with a rate cut. The market often treats the deliciousness of a rate cut as a foregone conclusion, adjusting asset allocations and investment strategies well in advance. By the time the announcement arrives, the news of the cut feels more like a plate of cold meat, failing to spark much excitement. What's worse is if the Fed's policy falls short of expectations. Say, the cut isn't deep enough, or they decide to hold rates steady. The market's disappointment would be akin to the crushing moment when you see a convenience store bento box instead of the barbecue you were promised. The atmosphere would cool instantly. So, the Federal Reserve's job is much like that of the friend hosting the dinner. They need to drop a few hints about where we're eating tonight without making it too obvious. while ensuring the dishes served meet everyone's expectations. It's a delicate game of managing expectations, keeping the market from getting overly excited, but also avoiding excessive disappointment. After all, no one wants their much-anticipated barbecue feast to turn into a packed lunch pity party, do they? A rate cut is often seen as the all-purpose remedy of the economic world. Many believe it can fix just about anything. House prices too high? Cut rates. Consumer spending sluggish? Cut rates. But if it were truly that miraculous, perhaps we're all expecting a bit too much. While a rate cut can address certain issues, it's far from being a cure-all or a magical panacea. Imagine this. You've twisted your ankle, but instead of addressing the injury, you slap on a cooling patch. Sure, it feels soothing, but it's not going to heal the bone. Or you're absolutely famished, yet you spray perfume on your clothes to trick yourself with the scent of food, pretending you're full. That's the absurdity of focusing solely on the surface effects of a rate cut while neglecting the deeper economic issues at play. The effectiveness of a rate cut really depends on the economic broth it's being added to. If the broth is rich and flavorful, say the economic fundamentals are strong, then the rate cut acts as a seasoning, enhancing the overall appeal of the soup. However, if the broth has already gone sour because the fundamentals are shaky, no amount of salt can bring it back to life. So, investors need to approach things much like choosing the base for a hot pot. Look beyond the steamy, enticing surface and figure out whether the ingredients inside are fresh. That is, examine the economic data and fundamentals. Understanding the nuances of monetary policy is akin to knowing the precise mix of ingredients in the broth. It ensures every sip you take is well informed, rather than discovering halfway through that something doesn't taste quite right. The market's reaction to a rate cut is much like eating a spicy gummy. The moment you bite into it, the sweet and spicy burst hits you with a surprising wow that you can't help but exclaim, sparking plenty of chatter about the flavor. But before long, the taste fades and attention starts to shift. Will the next gummy be spicier, or perhaps sour instead? It's this anticipation of what's next that truly keeps everyone on edge. Investors' behavior after a rate cut is much like this. There's an initial burst of enthusiasm with noticeable market volatility, but soon the conversation shifts to the future flavor choices. Will rates be cut further, stay steady, or even be raised? The answers to these questions depend on economic data, whether GDP growth is as robust as hearty hot pot ingredients or as lackluster as a bland broth. Inflation trends also play a role. Will prices surge like frothy bubbles in a boiling pot? And finally, it hinges on how the Federal Reserve assesses risks. Should they add a few more slices of meat to the pot or turn the heat down a notch? This kind of forward-looking focus is much like choosing the ingredients for a hot pot session. It shapes the market's mood and investment strategies going forward. You find yourself wondering, should we prepare a few more plates of beef? Or should we call it a day with the hot pot and switch to something lighter? Investors are always fixated on the next pot of broth because they know that the real flavor isn't determined by the first bite, but by the ingredients and heat levels yet to come. Interpreting the statements of Federal Reserve officials is much like listening to an experienced baker describe a cake recipe. They won't outright tell you to add 3 more spoonfuls of sugar. Instead, they'll use ambiguous language like, adjust the sweetness to achieve a balanced flavor. As a foodie, your mind immediately starts racing. Does this mean I should make it sweeter or cut back? Could they be hinting at a new secret recipe? It's a delicate exercise in reading between the lines, where every word seems to hold a tantalizing mystery. Investors' reactions to Federal Reserve statements are much the same. Officials speak with meticulous caution, their language crafted with precision to leave no room for missteps. Yet this only sparks a game of interpretation. Everyone is busy dissecting phrases like "economic risks are slightly tilted" or "data performance warrants attention," trying to extract clues about the Fed's next move. Much like you puzzling over a baker's instruction to knead the dough just right, wondering if that means 5 minutes or 10. Interpreting the market like a successful investor is akin to a baker who has cracked the perfect recipe, crafting a superb cake ahead of everyone else and selling it to great success. On the other hand, misinterpreting things could result in baking a cake that's just not sweet enough, only to have it mocked by others. So, mastering the art of deciphering the Federal Reserve's language is a high-stakes challenge in listening for nuance. Capturing those subtle shifts in tone is like guessing the perfect amount of sugar in a cake. It gives you an edge in the investment market, allowing you to savor the sweet taste of victory ahead of everyone else. Even for seasoned Federal Reserve watchers, predicting the future is like playing the role of a weather forecasting expert. The forecast may promise sunshine in the morning, only to be blindsided by an unexpected downpour in the afternoon. The economy is equally temperamental. One moment the data looks like clear skies, and the next, it's overshadowed by the sudden storm clouds of inflation. For investors, this kind of uncertainty is much like planning a picnic. You can pack your blanket and sandwiches, but you'd be wise to bring an umbrella, just in case the weather takes an unexpected turn. Diversifying your investments serves as that safety umbrella, helping to offset risks by relying on assets that perform steadily when others falter. For example, you wouldn't pack only fried chicken for a picnic, because if it goes cold, it's not so appetizing. But if you've also brought along some fruit, biscuits, and salad, you'll have other options to fall back on if one doesn't work out. That's the principle of diversification. Spreading your money across stocks, gold, bonds, and other picnic boxes, so no matter how the economic weather changes, you'll still have something palatable to enjoy, avoiding a total loss. So, when the economy is as unpredictable as the weather, investors must learn to adapt flexibly, setting off with a variety of gear in hand. After all, whether it's sunshine or rain, being well prepared ensures you'll have a pleasant journey regardless. A rate cut in the global financial markets creates ripples much like throwing a large stone into a swimming pool. The splash is dramatic, and every asset, like the swimmers in the pool, is pushed along by the waves. Some happily float with the current, while others flail about in a panic. Let's start with the bond market. It's like the most sensitive swimmer by the poolside. As soon as a rate cut is announced, it immediately feels the water level drop, yields decline. Investors quickly react, bond prices might go up, and dive headfirst into the bond pool, snapping up bonds, especially those with longer maturities or bond funds. These are like the deep end of the pool, offering greater returns as they respond more strongly to the effects of a rate cut. For the average person, understanding the impact of a rate cut on bonds is as straightforward as choosing a swimming lane. When the water temperature of the economy warms up, rates are cut, bonds become more attractive. If you're looking for a steady float, consider bond funds or long-term bonds. These are like the calmest lane in the pool. They let you drift along comfortably while avoiding the splashes and waves caused by the volatility of other assets. In summary, after a rate cut, choosing the right lane or asset can help you navigate the turbulent financial markets with ease, rather than being blindsided by the waves of market volatility. The stock market's reaction to a rate cut is much like a restaurant launching a 20% off everything promotion. Businesses, like chefs waiting to stock up, see their costs drop, borrowing becomes cheaper, and happily splurge on premium ingredients, investment, and expansion. They might even hire a few extra chefs, recruitment. As a result, the dishes are upgraded, the restaurant's business booms, and profits soar, just like stock prices climbing steadily upwards. For consumers, a rate cut is like seeing the installment fees on your credit card drop significantly. Oh, fantastic, shopping just got more affordable. Inspired, people start ordering more premium steaks, upgraded consumption, which further boosts the restaurant's revenue. This chain reaction creates a virtuous cycle, bringing vibrancy to the entire economy. Everyone has food on their plate and money to spend. Imagine this: the post-rate cut market scenario. Businesses transform into master chefs, producing ever better dishes, while consumers become big eaters, with full wallets and a willingness to spend. Everyone enjoys a feast, leaving happy and satisfied. This kind of 20% off economics not only delights businesses with soaring profits, but also injects vibrant energy into the economy, much like a bustling restaurant filled to capacity. So, a rate cut for the stock market is like the perfect restaurant promotion, one that attracts talented chefs and satisfies hungry diners. Everyone leaves grinning from ear to ear. A rate cut's impact on certain industries is like an economic party, and sectors like technology, consumer discretionary, and healthcare are the VIP guests. They're always the first to sip the finest champagne and dance with the most enthusiasm. Why? Because they're particularly skilled at seizing the benefits of lower rates and transforming them into powerful growth opportunities. The tech industry is like the party's DJ, electrifying the crowd with top-notch equipment and creativity. Think hefty R&D investments. When borrowing costs drop, these DJs can more easily finance new mixing gear, upgrading their sound systems to keep the dance floor buzzing with energy. The result? The popularity index of tech stocks naturally soars. The consumer discretionary sector is like the dessert stall at the party. When interest rates drop, people find themselves with a bit more disposable income and can't resist buying an extra slice of cake or a few bottles of sparkling wine. These aren't life's essentials, but a rate cut flips the switch on impulse spending mode, sending the dessert stall's business through the roof. The healthcare sector is like the bartender who introduces exciting, innovative drinks to the party. A rate cut makes it easier for him to borrow money to invest in high-end mixology equipment and develop cutting-edge recipes, think new drugs and technologies. The result? His stall is always swarming with people, eager to try the latest innovative cocktails, so a rate cut environment is like adding a powerful air conditioner to the party. It makes the atmosphere even livelier, the dance floor more crowded, and raises the energy of the entire event. However, not all industries benefit equally from a rate cut. While a rate cut may feel like an economic bonus, not every sector gets to pocket the cash with a smile. Take utilities and telecommunications, for example. They're like those friends at the party carrying the weight of a mortgage. Whatever gains a rate cut might bring are often swallowed up by a mountain of bills before they can truly enjoy the perks. Utilities and telecommunications industries typically carry high fixed costs and significant debt, much like renting an enormous venue for a party, where just the rental fee leaves them gasping for air. When interest rates drop rapidly, their borrowing costs can actually rise, as the market becomes more cautious about these big borrowers and demands higher interest to compensate for the risk. This, in turn, offsets any potential benefits the rate cut might have offered. The impact of a rate cut on these industries is akin to hosting a party where everyone else gets cheaper drinks, but you, having run up a tab for ice and decorations, end up paying extra interest to your suppliers. In the end, you don't save any money. In fact, the burden only gets heavier. Therefore, investors need to approach this like choosing a party partner, carefully assessing the financial health of these industries. Those with stable cash flow and strong repayment ability are the ones you can rely on, not the types who might leave the party unable to pay their bar tab. Otherwise, instead of investing in the party buzz, you'll end up inheriting the hangover of financial risks. When evaluating the impact of a rate cut on a stock portfolio, investors are much like foodies browsing a night market. You can't just buy everything because it's cheap. You need to carefully assess each stall's specialties and hygiene standards, industry characteristics and company financials to avoid unpleasant surprises or ending up with something that doesn't suit your palate. For example, tech stocks are like the charcoal-grilled skewer stall at the night market. A rate cut is akin to the charcoal burning hotter, spreading an irresistible aroma, boosting business and delighting investors, who can also look forward to new offerings hot off the grill. Utility stocks, on the other hand, are more like the stall selling grilled squid. With high fixed costs, changes in interest rates are like shifts in the wind, making the fire fluctuate, sometimes too cool, sometimes too hot, resulting in squid that's not quite perfectly cooked. Beyond interest rates, investors must also consider the overall vibe of the night market, macroeconomic factors. For instance, if it suddenly starts raining, global recession risks, no one will be buying barbecue from any stall. Alternatively, if ingredient costs rise, inflation, even the tastiest skewers might struggle to sell as higher prices scare off customers. Selecting a stock portfolio is much like ordering a set menu at a night market. You need to consider the seasoning of interest rates, but also pay attention to other ingredients, such as inflation and employment data. By carefully analyzing each stall, industry, and its chef, company, you'll ensure a meal that's both satisfying and delicious, avoiding the risk of a culinary disaster ruining your appetite. The impact of a Federal Reserve rate cut is akin to the United States hosting a global clearance sale, suddenly announcing a discount on the dollar. This prompts buyers and sellers worldwide to recalculate their shopping carts. As the dollar weakens, attention shifts elsewhere, with investors thinking, where can I find better returns? Perhaps it's time to explore the euro, the yen, or even currencies from emerging markets. The reaction in the foreign exchange market is much like the swapping of stalls at a night market. If the US stall lowers its prices, you might wander over to the neighboring stand for some exquisite Japanese sushi, or venture further afield for a Thai coconut milk smoothie. Everyone is chasing value for money, leading to reduced demand for the dollar, while other currencies gain popularity. That's not all. Emerging market economies are like the small vendors in a night market. A rate cut gives them some breathing room, as their external debts are often denominated in dollars. When the dollar weakens, their repayment pressure eases, allowing them to run their businesses a bit more smoothly. However, on the flip side, if market volatility becomes too intense, these small stalls could find themselves facing significant challenges. Commodity prices are like the signature dishes at a night market, typically priced in dollars. When the dollar becomes cheaper, oil, gold, and agricultural products turn into limited-time special offers, drawing global buyers eager to snap them up. Naturally, their prices start to rise. How does a Federal Reserve rate cut resemble a global clearance sale? The analogy of a rate cut as a clearance sale resonates with hexagram 19, Lin approach, in the Yi-Jing. This hexagram signifies opportunity and the beginning of something new, urging timely action to capitalize on favorable conditions. Similarly, a rate cut temporarily creates opportunities for investors to seek value for money globally. In The Art of War, Sun Tzu advises, seize the advantage while it exists. Chapter 3, Offensive Strategy. Like buyers recalculating their strategies during a sale, investors must act swiftly to take advantage of weakened currencies or alternative investment opportunities. In summary, a Federal Reserve rate cut is like putting up a global sale announcement in a night market, instantly triggering a complex web of interactions among vendors and customers. It's not just a simple domestic discount in the US, but a ripple effect, a night market extravaganza that moves the entire global economy. After a Federal Reserve rate cut, a cheaper dollar is like the US export market announcing a massive clearance sale, shouting, "Come on, buy one get one free." Our agricultural products and manufactured goods are now super affordable. Foreign customers flock in droves, snapping up American soybeans, corn and tractors, leaving exporters with booming sales and a sharp rise in export volumes. However, for American importers, it feels more like falling victim to a sneaky sales scam. As the dollar weakens, they discover that foreign electronics or cars now cost twice as much. What's going on? I just wanted to buy a phone, and now I have to pay double. Better start haggling. This import inflation hits consumers directly, especially those fond of luxury imported cars or the latest smartphones. Suddenly, their wallets feel much lighter, and the shopping experience becomes far less enjoyable. From another perspective, it's like this. American exporters set up a stall at an international night market, enthusiastically shouting, "Cheap soybeans, take them home and cook a pot to feed the whole family." Meanwhile, importers return to the US night market in tears, only to find Japanese rice cookers have gone up in price, with a label reading, "Currency fluctuation, price increased by $10. As a result, American consumers are left steaming rice in frying pans, muttering under their breath, "Who on earth decided to cut rates?" A Federal Reserve rate cut for emerging market economies is like the US turning down the economic tap, slowing the flow of money at home and letting it spill over to thirsty nations. Emerging markets, much like a parched farmland, see this financial rainfall approaching and eagerly shout, "Come on, invest in us. We offer higher returns here." Investors are nothing if not pragmatic. In a low interest rate environment, they're like shoppers eyeing bargain deals at the mall, thinking, interest rates in the US are pretty dismal. Why not try my luck in emerging markets? I might just snag a great deal. Consequently, emerging market stock and bond markets, adorned with special discount signs, draw a surge of foreign investors, making business boom almost overnight. However, ironically, the money magnet nature of these emerging markets is actually quite fragile. When foreign capital pours in, their stock and bond markets inflate like a balloon, swelling beautifully almost overnight. But deep down, the moment the Federal Reserve changes its mind and raises rates, the money will flow back to the US, and that balloon will go pop, leaving nothing but a mess behind. So a rate cut for emerging markets is like indulging in a lavish buffet. At first, with foreign capital flowing in, they feast to their heart's content. But the moment the Federal Reserve changes its policy, the kitchen closes, the waiters whisk away the plates, and they're left patting their stomachs, exclaiming, "We weren't done yet. How could it end so soon?" However, this can also lead to volatility in emerging market currencies and asset prices, as these economies are often more vulnerable to sudden shifts in investor sentiment. Commodities like oil, gold, and industrial metals may also be influenced by a rate cut, as a weaker dollar makes these goods more affordable for buyers using other currencies, potentially driving up demand and prices. For instance, oil prices might rise because dollar-denominated oil becomes cheaper in other currencies, boosting global demand. Similarly, gold, often viewed as a safe haven asset, may see its price increase in an uncertain economic environment. These shifts not only impact global trade, but also have profound implications for economic policies and market strategies across nations. Navigating the financial markets is often likened to sailing through unpredictable waters. The Federal Reserve acts as the harbor master, using its monetary policy tools to influence the currents and tides, aiming to keep the ship of the economy sailing smoothly. However, as any seasoned sailor knows, the ocean is unpredictable and storms can arise without warning. These storms may be triggered by a variety of factors, such as global economic turbulence, political instability, or sudden market events. Investors must remain vigilant and prepared to face these unforeseen challenges at any moment. Changes in the Federal Reserve's policy rate, particularly rate cuts, can create powerful ripples that spread across the entire market. A rate cut is often viewed as a means to stimulate economic growth by reducing borrowing costs, thereby encouraging businesses and consumers to spend more. Even so, such a policy can also carry the risk of inflation and lead to currency depreciation. Investors need to closely monitor these shifts and adjust their investment strategies to navigate potential market volatility effectively. For investors aiming to successfully navigate these turbulent waters, understanding how these waves impact different asset classes is crucial. The stock market often rises following a rate cut as reduced borrowing costs boost corporate profits. On the other hand, the bond market might face negative effects as a rate cut can signal potential future rate hikes, leading to a decline in bond prices. Commodity markets are also affected, particularly gold, which is typically seen as a hedge against inflation. Each of these dynamics plays a critical role in shaping an effective investment strategy. While rate cuts can create opportunities for investors, they also come with risks. The market's reaction to Federal Reserve actions is not always predictable, as the interplay of global economic forces, geopolitical events, and investor sentiment can lead to unexpected outcomes. For instance, an unforeseen political event might trigger sharp market volatility, even if the Fed's policy was originally intended to stabilize markets. Investors must cultivate flexibility and adaptability to navigate these shifts effectively. This is why a balanced and informed approach is absolutely essential. In a rate cut environment, investors must carefully consider their risk tolerance, investment objectives, and time horizon when making decisions. They should also regularly assess and adjust their portfolios to ensure alignment with current market conditions and their long-term goals. By staying vigilant and adaptable, investors can better navigate the storms of the financial markets, ensuring that their investment ship sails smoothly towards its destination. This metaphor resonates with hexagram 64, wage before completion, from the Yi-Jing. This hexagram signifies the ongoing effort and vigilance required to reach completion. Like a sailor constantly adjusting to currents, investors must remain attuned to the shifting tides of financial markets. From The Art of War, this aligns with Sun Tzu's principle: in the midst of chaos, there is also opportunity. Chapter 5: Energy. Investors, like sailors, must embrace the unpredictability of markets as opportunities to adapt and refine their strategies. Diversification remains the cornerstone of prudent investing. Spreading investments across a range of asset classes, industries, and regions helps to mitigate the impact of market volatility and reduce the overall risk of a portfolio. For instance, while stocks may benefit from the potential economic boost of a rate cut, bonds can provide a buffer against possible inflation or a reversal in interest rate trends. Equally important is staying informed about economic developments and Federal Reserve policy statements, as these offer valuable insights into the likely trajectory of interest rates and the overall health of the economy. By staying vigilant, adapting to changing conditions, and seeking professional guidance when needed, investors can chart a course toward their financial goals, even amidst the turbulence of the financial markets. Why is a balanced and informed approach essential in a rate cut environment? From The Art of War, the concept aligns with Sun Tzu's principle: know the terrain and the enemy. Understanding the financial landscape, rate cuts and their consequences, and one's own position, risk tolerance and objectives mirrors this strategic approach. The text highlights the importance of balance, which resonates with hexagram 15, De Shan Qian, modesty, from the Yi-Jing. Modesty signifies the power of balance and harmony in decision-making. Investors, like the hexagram's message, must maintain a measured perspective and avoid overconfidence or recklessness when markets fluctuate due to rate cuts. In summary, we've seen that combining ancient Eastern wisdom with modern financial strategies is not only possible, but truly revolutionary. From embracing change to balancing empathy with determination, these principles offer a refreshing perspective on business management. So, let's remain optimistic and look forward to businesses thriving by adopting these timeless yet timely strategies. Balance and prudent planning are key. Much like walking a tightrope with a safety net, the challenge lies in finding the optimal position and staying agile. Employing cautious yet wise strategies with an emphasis on balance and adaptability is critical for navigating the future economy. The current global market landscape is complex, with opportunities and risks existing side by side. Every region on Earth with its unique latitude, longitude, and resources, brings its own challenges and potential. Using artificial intelligence tools such as neural networks, we can provide real-time insights based on regional characteristics and national economic data. By watching our videos weekly, you can stay informed with valuable insights, enhancing your quality of life in multiple ways with minimal time investment. In these turbulent financial times, the ability to adapt while minimizing risk is essential. Regardless of your investment experience, it's crucial to keep an eye on our video premieres to make more informed decisions. Remember, knowledge is not just power, it's a tool to elevate your value. If you have topics of interest, feel free to leave a comment. As we wrap up, I want to extend my heartfelt thanks to all our viewers for their support. If you found today's video helpful, don't forget to hit the like button so you can easily find it again when needed. Thank you for your attention. Truly, thank you.